one more time. A very pleasant good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Magandang umaga po, magandang tanghali, magandang hapon, magandang gabi. Welcome to Crossfire, and together with me is Professor Paglinawan, of course, Itos Valdes. This is Rita Gadi. This afternoon, we have such a presumptuous title, Gross National Happiness. I've read this so many times about several countries that say that they do not measure products, they do not measure how much people earn, they do not measure how much they export, they measure happiness. Perhaps we should too, in a way, because there are so many things that we really ought to be happy about. But the questions there, of course, is what is happiness? What can make us happy? What should we be happy about? And how can we be happy? There are many concerns that we're going to present. It all boils down to that specifically. The summary of our nation's happiness. There was a definition I picked up about happiness. It's a state of well-being, a pleasurable experience, a blessedness, favored by luck or fortune, either which way. And gross, from the Latin word grossus, which means it's noticeable, it's obvious, it's the totality, it's the entirety. So if you put this all together, that's what it means, the gross national happiness. Let's aspire for that. But before we get into it, let's look at certain concerns. Right now, on the table in front of us, and this has been repeated by our president and his economic managers, and the urgency that they're pushing through with this in the House of Congress, both in the Senate and in the House of Representatives, the Maharlika Fund. And Itos, I think, would have some details which were not actually taken up in many ways, but we should be concerned about. Maharlika Fund.
Yeah, so again, that's another way. The Maharlika Fund is really essentially a fund created by government. It's a sovereign wealth fund. Now, it is patterned after Singapore and Saudi Arabia and other countries that have created a sovereign wealth fund to get more funds to be invested into different things like the US stock market, London stock market, the foreign. So they are planning to create a sovereign wealth fund. Where will they get the funds to fund this sovereign wealth fund? From government agencies, which will now be required to allot a portion of their kita, or whatever they can show as kita, to the Maharlika Wealth Fund. This is supposed to be to enhance our fiscal position, make money, and all of that. So now, it's like creating a stockbroker. You hired a stockbroker to manage the wealth of the country. If that goes, if they have a wrong bet, just like the Lehman Brothers in 2008, and previously others also, if they don't make money, who absorbs the losses?
The people.
Because the government agencies now have less budget to work with, and yet, ginamit lang pang sugal. Because that's how I see it.
So bakit kailangan?
So that's being pushed now. Honestly, I think that's an agreement that if we will lend you the money, but you have to create a sovereign wealth fund to invest, again, in where we tell you to invest. Kasi yung mga pinapakinggan niya ay part of the US and Britain led financial oligarchy. They will tell us where to invest. They will not invest in BRICS. They will not invest in infrastructure for the Philippines. They will invest in stock markets and foreign forex markets again. Ang kumikita lang dyan, yung mga middlemen.
Ang kumikita, yung mga nagmamanage ng fund na yan.
Yes, correct.
Ang layo niyan sa nagbebenta sa palengke, ang layo niyan sa nagtatrabaho sa mga factory, ang layo niyan sa mga pumapasok sa opisina, ang layo niyan sa mga nagtuturo, ang layo niyan sa ating lahat. Kung talagang tutuusin.
Yep.
Kasasabi lang ni Itos na para tayong nag-hire ng stockbroker. Alam niyo yung mga nagbebenta dyan, yung tinatawag nga the informal economy, which is about 70 to 80%. Yung mga may dalang bilao na nagtitinda sa umaga at bumabalik sa hapon, yung mga kakanin, yung mga nasa mga talipapa. Pag sabihin mo sa kanila, kailangan mo ng stockbroker, anong koneksyon? Kaya yan ang ating tinatalakay sa kasalukuyan sapagkat sabi nga urgent ito. But then as Itos was explaining, that's exactly what it is and that's where it's going. So you could see here the difference between the General Appropriations Act, which already identifies for every department of government where the money of that's being collected is going to go. Yung sinasabi nga ni Ito sa infrastructure, etc. Pero mukhang itong Mahardika Fund, it's not necessarily just for infrastructure, but it goes to stocks, to other investments, na talang sabi ko nga, sa cloud. It is somewhere far away from where the ordinary wage worker is. So, anong masasabi mo naman dito?
Well, magaling na mga investors ang Filipino. In fact, the government invested 700 million dito sa all-home corporation ni Manny Pacquiao. And now, 700 million, ang worth ngayon, 174 million na lang. Ganyan kagaling ang mga Pilipino. No? Kaya hindi ko maintindihan ito. At nagkakaroon pa ng rumor na ginawang leverage ito ng mga Amerikano para makuha si Bongbong Marcos. Hindi ba sabi nila, we have your back, man? Pero actually, interpretation natin nun is, we have you back, man.
We have you back, correct.
Dahil, ang pupuntahan nito, Wall Street.
Yes, correct.
Bakit tayo nag-i-invest sa isang economy na palubog?
Correct.
Bakit hindi tayo mag-invest, ha? Sa BRICS, nakapila na ang mga gusto sumali sa BRICS.
Correct.
Ha? Ano yung BRICS? Yun ho ang kupunan ng Brazil, Russia, India, China, at South Africa.
And 95 other countries have joined in.
Yes.
The 95 other countries have signified their intention to join in. No? Kasama dyan yung mga Arabo, yung oil black. Karamihan ho ngayon, no? At even ASEAN of late, ditong huli nilang meeting
Sa Indonesia.
sa Indonesia. Nagkasundo sila na to call, diretsuhin ko na, hindi na ako magte-technical. Accepted na nila ang de-dollarization.
De-dollarization.
De-dollarization ng world currency.
Ibig sabihin,
Aalis na sa dolyar at pupunta na sa mga sariling currency, diretso na exchange either sa yuan or rubles or anywhere BRICS will bring this whole system.
right.
Yan ang ascending economy. No? Pero tayo, nakikipagsiksikan tayo doon sa palubog na barko.
Right.
Hindi ko maintindihan yan eh.
Pero magagaling na investor.
Ay,
Batikan.
joke no ha?
Eksperto.
IMF consultant forever.
The best
Oh.
with all the degrees.
Sa Washington pa ako, consultant na
Ayun.
ng IMF World Bank.
Yeah.
Ha? And, itong mga ito, ay kukunin yung pera ng government
Ay, nako.
at isusugal doon. Alam niyo, yung is a very decent sugal yan eh. Yung stock market. Pag hindi ka marunong maglaro niya, no? Ang sama ng projection ng stock market sa US eh. Sa currency, sa economy,
Lahat.
sa stock market, na in less than 18 months, baka magsara yung Wall Street.
They're not actually putting a deadline, but already it is coming out that the default of the American economy is already at the cliff's edge. Talagang medyo delikado na
Delikado
ang
talaga.
pagbagsak nila. And I think Itos can explain the meaning of de-dollarization. Yung sinasabi nga ni Ado, na bakit gagamitin na ng currency ng ibang bansa at aalis na sa dollar. Paano mangyayari ito?
No, when you have to look at 1971.
The Bretton Woods?
No,
Prior.
no, removed from the Bretton Woods.
Yeah,
We
okay.
left the Bretton
Yeah,
Woods
exactly,
and
at
put
that year.
in a floating exchange
Floating
rate.
exchange rate.
They created what they call the petrodollar system.
Okay.
Now, the petrodollar system means you cannot buy oil unless you convert your currency into a dollar. They will only accept dollars. Now, this is the system at the time Saudi Arabia, US, Britain, and that caused speculation and all. So, yung dollar lumakas dahil doon. Ngayon po, sirang-sira na yung ekonomiya ng US because of their own fault. Okay? Lumalakas ang China, lumalakas Russia, lumalakas Saudi Arabia, manufacturing in India. So they, in the 2000s, they were already going to BRICS. They were already trying to see how we can form a new world system. Kasi yung sistema nila US that they created after the Bretton Woods was shelved, was going down the tank because they didn't invest in infrastructure, energy, food. They invested in speculation, startups, the new economy, yung mga tech, yan ang ini-invest nila. That's just all smoke and mirrors. That's not real wealth. You're not creating anything. So right now, those countries decided, lalo na in this current period, let us buy oil denominated in our own currency. So
And it's happening.
fully convertible na yung yuan at yung Russian ruble at yung Saudi Arabian riyal, I think, and the Indian. And 91 other countries are joining this because they made the commitment, no, we will build the physical economy. Hindi speculation, hindi to air, just thin air, hot air. This is real economy, bridges, nuclear power plants, massive agricultural estates, greening of the desert, all of those plants, and the Silk Road.
Yes.
The one belt, one road policy,
Yeah.
uniting the whole world by land
Yeah.
and rail. Those
State
things,
of the art, right?
yes, and that's what the world is going. So these others saying, kung ganun kaya nyo, yung essentials na kailangan namin, I can get from Russia, oil. I can get manufacturing and agriculture from China. What do I need the dollar for?
Exactly.
And that causes the US now, the dollar is even sinking further and further and further. Kasunod lang tayo. So nakakapit tayo sa dollar. Gustong-gusto pa rin natin yung dollar. So pababa yung dollar, kumakapit pa rin tayo.
And the sad part
That's what's
about this, yeah, as you said, it came to a point where it's just the printing of the money, and
Yes.
then the British and the American banks will dictate kung magkano ang exchange.
Right.
Prior to that, we had all the gold. So yun talaga ang pagbabasihan sana ng equivalent ng ating peso.
Yung Bretton Woods.
Oo, yung Bretton Woods. Kasi meron tayong, we had all the gold. As a matter of fact, pang ilan tayo sa mundo as
Yes.
far as that's
Yes.
number 2. Number 3, South Africa is another one also. Kaya nakikita nyo sa BRICS, sila lahat may ginto. Kaya kaya nila na sabihin, magagamit nyo yung aming currency sapagkat meron kami talagang pondo nito, hindi yung imprenta.
Right.
It's not the printing.
Yeah, gold is only important as a stabilization factor. So Bretton Woods said, what is the mineral that all countries have access to and can get? So they decided on gold, which is but gold itself also, if you do not use your economy, even in a Bretton Woods system, if you do not direct it to building factories, agriculture, estate, energy, infrastructure, wala rin yung economy mo regardless of that an economic system. So you have to direct your economic policy towards ano ba kailangan ng tao to survive. They need energy, they need food, they need water. Ganun. It has to be per capita, not GNP, because pati yung casino kita ng casino sinasama na sa GNP.
Yeah.
Napaka-useless yun we didn't produce anything there.
Exactly.
So, but when we produce steel, when we produce more rice, when we produce more fish for aquaculture, when we produce more highway, cement, everything, petrochemicals, that's actually tangible because you know that you need jobs to produce that product.
that was already in the drawing board and some of them were already functioning. Adult knows this.
Yes, of course.
About 38 years ago, or let's say something like 45 or 50 years ago, you had the senior Marcos already established the agro-industrial investment profile of our country, and some of them were already functioning. Kasasabi lang ni Itos kung ano itong mga ito. From our raw materials, our products, we were already producing what was going to be utilized by us and what could be exported. Paper, naalala mo yon. Yung steel, we had illegal steel mills. You had well, we had 38 dams, which was already producing half of what we needed as energy sources. And we had the nuclear plant, which should have already been functioning as early as, 40 years ago. And all of this, as a matter of fact, was already laid down, agro-industrial. But as Itas was saying, hindi yung may production na kinakailangan, nakatumbas na mga kinakailangan na earnings ng ating bayan para doon pupunta. But what happens is, and this is the sad part of it, what are we in heaven's name exporting? We are exporting our people.
Yes.
We are exporting the services of our people. Tapos sasabihin pa na gagamitin ng Department of Tourism yung sinasabi, we give the best to the world. Oh my goodness, alam ba ninyo, Department of Tourism, kung ang profile ng ating mga ospital? Na kulang ng nurses, tapos meron tayong pinakita sa buong mundo, we give the best. Yes, talagang magagaling ang Pilipino, but that should not be our export, and that should not be the best of us. The best of us are here. Our natural resources are here. Ayan, si Ado, ilang beses na dito sa programang ito, yan ang kanyang pinag-uusapan. Sana man lang napagpatuloy yung 11 industrial investment programs.
Oo, kasi pagka-industrialization, sabi nga ni Itos, may produkto, di ba? Maaring nag-angkat ka ng raw materials from abroad, ginawa mo rito, nag-angkat ka ng spare parts abroad, inassemble mo rito, tapos nire-export mo. Merong actual na tangible, no? Tangible na kumikilos sa exchange ng pera. Eh sa ngayon, ano ang ating ekonomiya? Ang ating ekonomiya is service economy.
Yeah.
Nasa pogo, nasa casino, nasa call center. Anong produkto niya? So nakikinabang lang dyan yung may empleo. Di ba?
Right.
Hindi nakikinabang yung lahat ng tao across the board. Pero ang tanong dyan, bakit hindi tayo maka-take off? Ayan mga kabansa, kung gusto nyo malaman kung bakit, ay kailangan bumili kayo ng libro ko at title, Poverty Power. At dyan diniscuss ko na hindi pwede itong sinasabi ni Rita Gadi na 11 industrial projects. Kung ang panggatong sa mga industriya na yan ay napakamahal. Anong panggatong na yan? Elektrisidad, power, energy. No? At palagay ko naman naiintindihan niya dahil buwan-buwan nagbabayad kayo ng kuryente. Ang kaibahan lang ngayon, nagbabayad kayo ng kuryente sa taong hindi nyo naman kaano-ano. Samantalang nung panahon ni Marcos Sr., kayo ang may-ari ng ng energy
cooperative distribution
sector. Kayo. Kayo may-ari ng Meralco, kayo may-ari ng PLDT, kayo may-ari ng Nawasa. Meron pa kami nung mga
stock parang certificate
dividends.
Yes.
Maski 50 pesos lang, hindi po. Ako, pag hindi ko diniposit sa oras yun, nagagalit ang tiya ko.
At ngayon, sapagkat ang humahawak ng ating National Grid Corporation, sinasabi nga, ay sa private sector, sila mismo, na nagkaroon ng hearing sa Senado, sa Kongreso, sinabi nila, yung dividends ay sa kanila, yung earnings ay bumabalik sa kanila as dividends.
But look at the pattern, when Marcos was the elder, Marcos the Elder, to be referred to him, the President Marcos the Elder, was in power. All of this were there. So the power distribution, water, and telecommunications were in the hands of the people of which they are supposed to benefit. Since when he was ousted and Corazon Aquino took over, all presidents after that started to dismantle all of that and turn it over to private interest in many ways, shapes. So Epira came to fruition. Ramos was #1 salesman. Cory started it with
The geothermal, binigay dun sa kapatid.
they are selling
No,
out all of our
Yeah.
national patrimony, selling it off. All the presidents since then, yan ang gusto nilang gawin.
Privatization, deregulation,
Globalization daw.
globalization.
So back to the question of our program, how can we be happy?
Ayan ang sitwasyon ngayon mga kabansa. At nabanggit ko nga yung libro ko. Nandun hong history ng nuclear power. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, handa na po nagdesisyon si Presidente Cory Aquino na hindi paandarin ang Bataan Nuclear Plant. Tapos na po. Tapos na noong 1985. No? Si switch on na lang.
At bayad.
Ha? At kung yan ay switch on, according to the statistics that I had, no, ang ating dependence sa oil will go down to about only, sa oil imports, will go down to only almost 30%, more or less. No? Kakombinasyon ng geothermal, kakombinasyon ng hydroelectric.
At that time,
At that time, yan ang mga green sources of energy noon. Ay babagsak ko. Samantalang 97% yan nung mag-take over si Marcos.
right.
Babagsak ko sa 30%. Ibig sabihin, pati yung pag-angkat natin ng gasolina at crudo, bababa din at bababa din ang presyo dahil magiging efficient ang ating sistema sa transportasyon. Hindi kargado ng tubo ng mga pribado. Pero bakit naging ganon? Isa lamang ang lumalabas sa libro ko. Ayaw ng mga Amerikanong patakbuhin ang Bataan Nuclear Plant, kaya ito minotbol ni Cory Aquino. Bakit ayaw ng mga Amerikano? Dahil kung yung po ay natutuloy, makakatayo na tayo sa sarili natin pa because of the 11 industrial projects. Yun ang mangyayari. Magsasarili na tayo. Pero pinagpalito natin yan sa kalayaan na wala namang pupuntahan. Sa happiness na napunta lamang sa bulsa ng mga iilan. Kayo ay nagbabayad na inyong kuryente, napakamahal. Pero ang Meralco, ang mga Boitis, at itong mga dambuhalang mga halimaw na oligarko, kada buwan, kada taon, bilang ng kanilang tubo in the billions. At humihingi pa ng price increase. Samantalang napag-alaman ng nasirang si Jojo Borja na walang ginawa kundi umistambay na lang sa Energy Regulatory Commission na mula po nung ipira ng 2001, every 4 years dapat may regulatory period. Para saan? Dahil humingi sila ng power increases, every 4 years, kailangan i-reconcile kung may over-collection o may underpayment ang consumer. And most of the time po, laging over-collection kasi sunod-sunod ang provisional price increases. Alam niyo ba mga kabansa, na sa hearing ni Dan, kalimutan ko pangalan ni Congressman from Santa Rosa, no? Fernando, napagkalaban niya ng total na utang na for refunds sa consumer ay lumampas na ho ng 3 trilyon na peso. At Meralco dyan ay anywhere between 200 to 300 billion ang dapat i-refund sa consumer. Hanggang ngayon ho, walang malinaw na reconciliation at nagbubulag-bulagan Mula pa nung kay Gloria makapagalaro yun, hanggang ngayon. Ha? Hanggang ngayon. Wala pa, every 4 years siya regulatory period na yan. Eh, namatay na ho ito si Jojo Borja. Ako'y believe dyan eh. Kasi Jojo Borja was a traitor to his class. Why? He was an investor, a major investor in illegal power.
Okay.
Ha? Isa ho siya sa mga investor sa energy.
So, kikita dapat siya. Gano'n?
Kikita dapat siya, pero bakit niya pinagtatanggol ang refund dapat sa
Correct.
mga consumer? Kasi hindi raw siya makatulog.
Correct.
At siguro dahil doon sa stress na yun, ay namatay ko sa cancer. Yan ang problema. Ha? Ilan lamang ang nakakaintindi nitong industriya to. Nabanggit kanina NGCP. Wala akong problema doon. Bakit nila malaki, almost 3/4 ng kanilang tubo, dinideklara nilang dividendo. Pero I am for the bigger picture. Bakit ninyo sinisingle out ang NGCP? Dahil ba sa stock holdings ng mga Chinese dyan?
Right.
At mayroong gustong bumili niyan na kaibigan ng ating Pangulo? Teka muna ha. Masyadong mabilis. Kung meron kayong na-nationalize, kung meron kayong kukunin sa pribado at ibabalik sa tao, yung buong energy sector po ang ibalik ninyo. Hindi lamang yung distribution.
Correct.
Bakit nyo sinisisi ang NGCP sa outages? Eh hindi naman nagpo-produce ng enerhiya ang NGCP. Kanila lang ho yung linya. They're in charge of the delivery. Yung outages that created this scandal and this brownouts and all that are the responsibility of the power plants. No? Yung pong power generation. So, if you are going to nationalize anything, nationalize the entire energy sector at isasama ko na, including the water sector. Kasi ganyan din ho nangyayari dyan. Includes, no? And highways na pinagkukunan ng pera-pera. Uy, nagtatayo na si Manny Pangilinan ng mga radar. Hindi na sapat yung toll income. Manguhuli na siya ng mga speeding. Kaya mag-ingat kayo dyan. Mag-ingat kayo dyan, mga kabansa. Naglalagay na ko ng mga radar, speed radars sa NLEX.
What kind of happiness should we have
No,
had?
That's why nga.
Diba? Ang lungkot naman.
Going from what Ado was saying, the happiness of a country, of a people, is not the feeling of happiness that you get when you have a nice
Hindi
meal.
emotional.
Yes. It's more, it's higher than that. And the happiness of a people, I would venture to I would say this, I would contribute this. The happiness is rooted in its people's aspirations. Now, that is enshrined in our Constitution in the terms of general welfare. Now, if you improve the general welfare, you improve the station of your people, you constantly give them a sense that we're progressing towards a better life. That contributes to happiness. And therefore, anything that takes away from that intentionally contributes to your misery of your people. Any law that you sign, any sponsor bill that you sponsor, which helps the oligarchs, which strengthens their hold on people's lives, the welfare, which takes away from the general welfare, which is enshrined in the Constitution. Anything that you do as a lawmaker, if you do that, you are directly contributing to your people's unhappiness through disease, through hunger, through sickness, because that has a direct effect.
Sa simple economics po, shelf, shelter, health, education,
Education,
livelihood,
livelihood,
and food,
food.
shelf.
Yes.
Exactly.
The very basic needs.
Basic needs.
Alam nyo, may recent survey si Maluti Kia at saka confirmed by SWS. 51% of our people consider themselves poor. Alam nyo, I am not a member of the 51%. But I also feel I am poor. Dahil ko yung 1,000 piso, hindi ko na pa ho mapagtugtog sa kinabukasan. Natatapyas na. Palubog ang araw, ubos na. Wala na. Ha? At pag-uwi ako, pinagdarasal ko, Diyos ko, huwag nyo naman ako stoplight. Bakit? May lalapit ho dyan sa inyong bintana. Ha? Ganun. Ang dami na pulubi. Nagkalat sa buong Metro Manila. Natutulong na sa pagkaksara ang isang establishment. May nilipat na doon. Mga corrugated board yung kanilang mga kama. At kasama yung mga maliliit nilang anak. So, alam mo, yan ang kayo, social services.
But we have to look at we have to look at our president. He meets with so many groups on a daily basis. He has cabinet meetings and clusters, with economic managers, water, etc. He has made a number of pronouncements of how to help agriculture, how to have better production. He has set out, for instance, many of our seaports for fishing and all of this. Marami naman kasing hindi lang hadlang. As we were mentioning, as Itos and you, Ado, were mentioning, these were all inherited na. Ano bang nangyari? That the public services that should be helping our people are now controlled by not the people, but by oligarchs. Namana yan ng ating presidente. So what are we asking for? Na sana tingnan niya at ibalik niya sa tao. Ngunit namana niya yan eh.
All you have to do is change policy.
Namana na niya yan. At kahit na anong meeting ang ginagawa niya, at kung ano man ang good intentions that he has, with all his agriculture and economic managers, etc., sa customs, lahat ng yan, kahit na anong sabihin niya, yung minana niyang yan ang una niyang kailangan talakayin.
Look, like I'm saying, you cannot solve it within that system. Na minana
Yes.
niya. You have to look at what worked before and then disregard this current system and move towards it.
Exactly.
Alam mo, ito sayang.
Oo.
Kasi na zero-base lahat yan eh, nung COVID-19.
Correct.
This would have been a
Exactly.
moment of greatness.
Article 12.
Ah,
Yun lang.
seryoso.
Say it.
Article 12.
Say it.
In times of emergency,
Yes.
government can take over all businesses temporarily in times of national emergency to benefit the general welfare.
Exactly.
That's simple as I can put it.
Yeah.
But where is he?
Nothing.
Rita Gadi. Medyo naubusan ako dito.
I would really emphasize so many times, over and over, and just about every time we have Crossfire, I see how the Crossfire is actually hitting from my left. Ano ba yun? Cannons to the right of me and cannons to the left with me, volleyed and thunder. But here I am in the center. Exactly.
Yeah.
Here am I at the center, and always, I would like to look at that particular seat of power. Ilang beses ko na itong sinasabi. Tayong lahat dito sa ilalim ng seat of power na yan, hindi natin nakikita at nalalaman kung ano ang kanyang nakikita. Marami tayong nararamdaman, marami tayong ninanais. I said this even before. When I was covering his father, there were some questions that we were raising and we were wondering why he was making this kind of action and why he was making such a decree. Pero yun na nga, ang sabi nga niya, it is only one man who is there in the seat of power. So eto na siya. Si Junior naman, Junior President of a Year. 365 days plus. So sa panahon na ito, nakikita na niya siguro lahat ng ating nalalabas dito sa Crossfire. Kaya sabi nga ni Ado,
Sana,
sabi nga
sana.
ni Itos, namana niya ito, yung problema natin sa mga public service na kinakailangan ay nalipat na sa gobyerno at siya na ang mamamahala. That is what we are praying for and hoping for. So with all the pronouncements that he makes and all the inaugurations of ilan ba yun, 1,000,000 houses perhaps in a year, and yung mga kanyang mga kadiwa na mga mukha naman talipapa kung talagang titingnan mo whatever it is that they try to present to him.
Yeah.
But I think he knows. He knows exactly how his father went through
Rita,
yung 20 years na yon. Kaya I am still holding on to that particular and singular act of the president himself to realize it's an act on it.
pero yung kadiwa, Rita, hindi itong ginagawa niyang kadiwa ay hindi yung kadiwa ng kanyang ama. Hindi niya kadiwa ang kanyang ama. Bakit? Ang original na kadiwa, you remember, ay parang SNR. Diba? You have to be a member.
Yes.
And then, if you're a member, you can shop within that discounted roof, no? Of itong presyo na mababa and all that stuff. Pero kadiwa ni Junior, iba. Meron siyang mga stalls na ganyan, pupunuin niya ng ng mga agricultural products, bigas and all that stuff. Pero wala pang alas 10, ubos na. Kasi it's open to the public. Baka yung mga niliro niya, mga traders.
Correct.
No? At binaratilo na lang.
Doble. Ganun.
Hindi,
Actually, we go further back, Ado. Hindi lang dun sa sinasabi mo nga, parang SNR, one big warehouse of where you can buy as a member. But before it gets there, you already have the producers themselves that are actually putting the products there wholesale. Kaya doon mabibili mo lahat, practically, anything that is being produced. Ngayon, saan nanggagaling yun? Kasi may production. Kaya nga sinasabi na bago pumasok doon, you had the terminal first for the frozen bagsakan yon. Pero other than that, you also had the factories that are manufacturing the canned goods. And then beyond that, yun ang kailangan sana.
Balik tayo sa product.
Oo, yun sa product. Yun ang kinakailangan.
May industrial product, may commercial product, may agricultural product that are brought there.
Precise. Manufactured products, lahat na yan. And that is where the problem is right now. So that here, ang nagiging problema natin, yun na nga, parang pira-piraso lang ang nakikita doon, hindi yung totality ng mga pangangailangan. Anyway, you mentioned something about our health services and all of this. Merong pinagkakaguluhan ngayon. You know, my sorority sisters have been sending me a lot of messages and telling me that I should talk about this or I should do something about it. But as I've said, I am the farthest from the corridors of power at this particular stage. So the best that we can do is here at Crossfire and talk about this, ano bang tawag dito? Senate Bill 1869, the Medical Martial Bill.
Medical martial law.
Oh, the Medical Martial Law. Medical Martial Law. Ito medyo parang kailangan maintindihan ninyong lahat ng taong bayan. We bring it up now. I think Itos exactly knows some of the details of this Medical Martial Law.
Yeah, essentially this law, this bill has passed through Congress. They flew through Congress, walang nag-opposition. It flew through the Senate. I think now that they don't have any opposition, walang public hearings on this. And this thing is going to be brought up to the president for signature to make a law. In summary, and you can research this online and everywhere po. Ang summary niyan, it gives the WHO complete and singular control over our health policies. Our national health policies. In other words, pag sinabi nilang, example, one of the clauses in the bill, the WHO can force you to get inoculated kahit ayaw mo, under threat of arrest. When we say medical martial law, it means that. So the local DOH will just be implementors of the WHO bill. Now, this bill is not unique to the Philippines. They've written this, given it to the US and other countries that have parliaments and legislative, and they're pushing this, they're lobbying. You can imagine the money flowing from them.
Ito yung pharmaceutical law.
Yes.
Huwag tayong
Tawag dyan, big pharma.
Exactly.
So,
that is the danger
It
there.
takes out our decision for our own health. So, kunyari, ayaw natin magpa-inoculate. They will force you under threat of arrest. They can. So, that's essentially...
Ano na yan eh. Ako nagulat. Sa Japan, compulsory. 6 inoculation sa against COVID. 6.
Grabe.
Di ba? Yung 2 original, tsaka 4 na booster. Yung isang nanonood sa atin dito, Loren, thank you for the information. No? Sa Japan daw, sabi niya, this week, itong week na papasok, nagdarasal daw sila. Dahil pang-anim na bakuna na yung kanilang tatanggapin this coming week. And it is compulsory.
Wow.
Ibig sabihin, pasok na itong medical martial law sa Japan.
Yes. And they're doing the same in Australia. Okay. So, yung sa amin lang po, yung sa akin, you have the right to decide what kind of treatment you will get, when you will get it, what medicines you will allow your body to take. That is in the Nuremberg hearings. After the Nuremberg Code, sabi, you cannot force anybody to take any inoculation or medicine without informed consent. They have to consent to it. Ang ginagawa nitong bill is no more consent needed. We will force you.
You must remember the time when tuberculosis, for instance, is one of our killer diseases. There was no bill like this. Kaya lang, pinalakas lang yung ating vigilance about tuberculosis at lahat. Ito yung panahon ni President Elder Marcos.
The elder.
Until we were able to eliminate tuberculosis as a killer disease. Maraming diseases ganyan na natigil na hindi compulsory ang inoculation na yan. Let us go beyond this bill and see the global movement. Sabi nga ni Ito, sa ibang countries ginagawa na yan. Beware of that global movement because that's exactly what we have to fight.
The one
if we
world
can
government.
if we can still fight it.
Towards
The
one
pharmaceutical mafia. Nakita ninyo, hindi nila nilalabas. Ilan yung mga vaccination na nagsabi, nagkamali sila. Hindi ba? Nagkamali sila. And if you will look, and this is something quite surprising, if you look at the percentage of stillborn babies, if you look at the percentage of premature babies because of what has happened during this period of the pandemic, bakit nagkaganon? Aralin ninyo. Hindi lang dito, sa buong mundo.
Alam niyo nung panahon ni President Ramos, yung kanyang pantak na naging senador na si Javier, no? Nag-issue yan ng anti-tetanus. Nilagyan ng HCG. HCG. Ano ho yung HCG? Yun ho ay pampalaglag ng bata. Kaya pala ito, 14 to 45 years old, yung pregnancy age, yun lang ang pinababakunahan. Ako'y nagdarasal na baka ito'y napasa. Baka naman gumawa sila ng bakuna para tumangos ang ilong ninyo. O di kaya pumuti ang inyong balat, no? Para magmukha kayong mga Amerikano, no? Huwag kayong papayat. Baka malaglag lalo yan. Ang problema dito is si David Martin, isang WHO expert, recently came up with a video. Of course, I don't agree with him totally, but he said that the Americans intentionally launched the virus, the coronavirus, from the Wuhan China laboratory,
Mm.
no? In order to promote vaccination. Yan, mga kabansa.
Mabigat yan.
Now, bakit Wuhan? Hindi ba Chinese yun?
Mm.
Ang hindi mo alam na karamihan, yung Wuhan Virological Center ay pinatatakbo ng mga Amerikano at mga friend. Yung isang building nga, Francis pa nagpagawa.
Yep.
Mga si Fauci ho,
Mm.
meron siyang grant dyan.
Mm.
Lugar lang ho yan, Wuhan.
Mm.
Pero mas mahaba pa ho, kwentuhan dyan.
Ah.
At darating na naman tayo sa pangalawa kong libro, no vaccine for a virus called racism.
Correct.
Dahil biniblame nila China for the coronavirus outbreak.
Yes.
When the first outbreak, according to my book,
Mm.
no, is in Springfield, Virginia, close to 14th Street in Maryland. Yan o mga
hindi...
gulo na mga big pharma.
Pero ngayon recently, itong WHO, siguro para i-push tong bill na to or countries, nag-announce sila, may there's a deadlier virus coming. Bakit alam ng ahead ng WHO, si Tedros, sabi niya, nag-warn siya, be prepared for a deadlier, but alam mo, be prepared for a deadlier virus to hit mankind soon. Ba't alam niya?
Hindi niya ako mabebenta dyan. Matapos na ilong ko at ayoko magpaputi. Glutathione mo. Baka ipabakulan sa inyo. Patay kayo.
But that is a very serious, sabi ko, very serious yung nangyagawa niya. Now, if Bongbong Marcos signs this union, it's signing off our rights to the WHO. Sila na may hawak.
Mga kabansa, no?
You already have all sorts of controls that are happening, actually. Many things that we have to tackle also. So, for my sorority sisters, be assured that we shall continue to talk about this. I know that some of you have joined some rallies, as a matter of fact, already in the House of Congress and also the Senate regarding this. Ngunit napakaliit ng boses nga na nagsasalita dyan sapagkat hindi nalalaman ng taong bayan kung ano ka-serious itong ginagawa dyan. And as again, many of these things that are being imposed on us are coming from some kind of a Kabbalistic center which wants to control population and the world. Yung kanilang aspiration for a one world government at lahat sila, ito yung mga oligarko na nasa ibang bansa, na yun na rin ang nagtayo nitong ating dollar exchange, sila na rin ang namamahala ng lahat ng mga nangyayari sa ibang bansa. Kaya nga, sinasabi na, marami daw nagsasabi, pro-China, ngunit kung titingnan ninyo, ang China at ang Russia at ang Amerika, yan dalawang bansa na yan ng China at saka Russia, nag-issue lang ng communique just recently at sinabi nga, tama na yung hidwaan, tama na yung paggegera, tama na yung pagsisira sa isa't isa. Magnegosyo na lang tayo para maging productive ang tao. At yun na nga, how do we become happy? Sinasabi nga ni Itos, pagka meron tayong aspirations na nasasagot unti-unti na mga kinakailangan nga sa buhay. Yan po ang mahalaga dyan.
Actually, based sa pang-form of martial law ngayon, napansin ko lang, walang ini-explain itong administration na ito. Kung ano talaga nangyayari kada departamento. Wala akong transparency sa impormasyon. Basta lumalabas na lang ganun. No? Andyan yung walang pera para sa pensyon, para sa mga sundalo at saka kapulisan. No? Dahil pagka binigyan pa natin ng pensyon yung mga yan, ay magkakaroon ng fiscal collapse, sabi ni Benjok, no? Hindi naman natin alam kung anong pulo-pulo.
Correct.
Tapos, eto sila, ang dami mga pagkakakitaan ng gobyerno, katulad ng asukal, katulad ng malampaya, katulad ng mga pinauutang ng land bank, hindi naman sa agriculture. They're wasting money and they're not accounting for anything whatsoever. Yan ang pati nga hindi raw sumisipot. Nagre-reklamo mga taga-DA. Hindi raw nag-uopisina si Secretary Ferdinand Marcos Jr. sa DA. Matagal na raw, pero nabalitaan nila, pupunta sa Australia.
Nagmi-meeting naman siya araw-araw sa Malacanang. Eto na naman ako. sapagkat saglit lang natin nakikita yan sa, pag nadidinig mo na yung music nila, nakikita na sisimula, nagmi-meeting naman siya araw, pag minsan isa, dalawa, tatlong beses. Kaya kung hindi man siya nagre-report, dun mismo sa departamento, kausap niya, kaharap niya yan sila Balisacan, kaharap niya yan si Jokno, kaharap niya yan sila Bersamin. Recently lang, nag-usap-usap nga tungkol sa asukal. Ayan, pinatawag niya lahat yan, pati yung all of those persons of interest or persons of consequence, but however else you would put an adjective to who they are. Kaya ikaw, Ado, sinasabi mo na hindi siya nagre-report, hindi na kailangan mag-report dun mismo sa opisina. Ang opisina niya sa Malacanang. At doon siya nagmi-meeting. At araw-araw nakikita naman, hindi lang doon. Nagpupunta pa siya sa... This is the Crossfire. Look at these two handsome men. To my left and to my right, they volley and thunder. And here I am, talking about the junior president, whom I still honor and respect and admire for all the eloquence and the articulateness of all his speeches and all his statements. Even if some people have called him, hindi ako yan, some people have called him half human, half words. Sinasabi ko rin, yan pa rin ang ating Pangulo sa yan. 31 million. Huwag yung, alam mo, talagang pinagdidiinan ko yan eh.
Sabi niya, si Rio, 10 million.
10 million lang daw sabi. But
Dahil mathematic.
yeah, we have fun here and all, and we all know what has to be. But
Doon din nga sa Malacanang pinatawag yung apat na supplier. Walang bidding. Pinatawag lang niya. Ayaw magsusupply ng smuggled sugar.
That is the junior president. Yeah. Huwag yung sasabihin, kailangan pa siya mag-report kung saan na niya. At sa harap ninyo, that is transparency.
Traffic pa, papunta doon.
Transparency. Kitang-kita ninyo. You will remember their faces, remember their names, and remember the orders given to them.
Right. The office of the president is what we respect. Not who occupies it at any given time. So as you're sitting in the office of the president, you cease to become who you are. You have to become the president of the Philippines. And therefore, those decisions, those policies, all are subject to all of the kinds of criticism and calling out, because it is an office that you occupy. Now, if you cannot do it, then don't occupy that office. Because the demands are the highest in our country.
Pero ako, ito, happy ako.
Bakit?
May insurance policy ako.
Ano?
My insurance policy is called the Vice President.
They should work together.
Now we're moving into that horizon, into the landscape of politics. Okay. Sa susunod pag-usapan natin yan, ano ba ang partido ng ating Pangulo para doon makikita natin ang support system niya sa kanyang inuupuan. So next, stay tuned for the next session of Crossfire.
Okay.
Umpisa natin. Anong title? Tambalos-los?
That's a very dirty word.
Lynn Multasarco, good afternoon po. Maulan din na hapon. Yes, bienvenido Tan. Mabuhay po kayo. Heroes don't die, heroes multiply. Belinda, Karina, Boko, hello Queen Mother, Rita, Professor Ado, and Sir Itos. Lauren Alejandrino Pascual, good evening po sa lahat. Sir Itos, Maurita, to our favorite maestro, Ado, watching from Tokyo. Mabuhay Pilipinas. As always, thumbs up for Crossfire. Misanthrope, good afternoon Crossfire. Limestone, hello po. Rainiel Roman, very educating. Pedro Hill, hello Crossfire people. Perez Acol Lucita, watching from Cagayan Valley. Oh, nandito ang minimum nawasa sa amin kasi commercial, 448 pesos.
Wow!
Taas.
Grabe.
Freddy Redina present. Join BRICS to shoo away oligarchs in our public utilities. We do not need their money. Kaya rejected ng China, Russia, mRNA vax, China experienced bioweapon attack. Gina Take, watching from Japan po. Guys, counter. Grabe ginawa nila sa Pinas. Maunlad na sana. China nga, 1991 lang nag-unang nuclear power plant. Tayo, 1985 dapat nagpapatakbo. BNPP, 2023, 0 nuclear plant tayo. China, 55 with 21 under construction. Kung hindi pa Maharlika fan, ano pa dapat ang gawin ng Pilipinas? Imbes na general welfare, welfare of the generals. military police na nangyari. Yawa yan.
Yawa.
Yawa yan. Warren Fontillas, hello po. Sorry I'm late watching from the UK. Edita Santa Maria, good afternoon po. Watching from Kuwait. That's a good joke. Francis Amaro, kaya...
Kuwait is a good joke, yes.
Kaya wala akong pinalampas na episode ng Crossfire mapalive o replay man dahil matututo talaga makikinig sa programang ito. Salamat po. Naway maingatan kayo ng palagi ng Diyos. Thank you very much. Kabataan Katipunero, greetings po to the host of Crossfire of Katipunan, Demokratikong Pilipino. Marcos Sr. is better than Marcos Jr. in terms of national economic development, general welfare, and non-aligned foreign policy. Pedro Hill, kadiwang mula sa smuggled and hoarded food items. Kadiwa na kapulburon. Hodas Bill Gates Bill 1869. Hodas. Amparo Consuelo, sino ang nagbabayad ng kuryente, tubig, internet, telepono at gasolina sa Malacanang? Ng Malacanang. Jack Mapeza Vlog, good evening. Edita Santa Maria, bakit gustong ilabas yung pera through Maharlika Plunder Fund? Myla DB. Madam at mga sir, aware po kayo sa pinapasang yun, 1869 sa Senado. Antonio Cristobal, si Tonton, lagi akong nasarali sa Senado Itos. Belinda Boco, Sir Itos is right. Wow, thank you. Rita?
Okay, so there we have it. Still the questions are, what is happiness? How can we be happy? What can make us happy? And how can we go proceeding with our daily lives in this particular situation? Welcome and goodbye to Crossfire for this afternoon. Tune in again next week. We are on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, ano pa ba? Lahat na ng social networking applications, andun tayo. And for as long as there are issues that will have to be tackled, we will tackle this. And for as long as I can speak on behalf of the highest seat of the land, I will. So thank you very much, Maestro Ado, and of course, the genius between the two of us is Itos Valdes, and his dad is right behind. Oh, my
Father's
dear
watching.
Sir Butch, yes, it is because of you that we are here, still struggling to save the nation.
He's happy.
Thank you for having joined us. This is Rita Gadi.